back to another session of GCAN, Gallant Current Affairs and News Analysis. So let us look into today's topics. I have with me about 7 topics today. We have to deal with the one nation, one election, like there is a going panel or discussion about choosing that. Then 3/4 of India's irrigation runs on electricity. Then artificial intelligence on X-ray to detect the TB cases. We have Atlantification. It's a prelims topic, as well as you can find that in our GS1s and write as examples. Operation Gaja and the role of community radios. So moving on, we will first deal about one nation, one election. So if you are looking, the idea of one nation, one election, which actually means that you are simultaneously conducting both the elections in Lok Sabha as well as the state legislative assemblies. Now this is not actually a new concept. This was actually practiced in India since independence till about 1969, but after this 1967, but there has been going on disruptions in this actually, because of which now the Lok Sabha elections as well as the legislative assembly elections are differentiated. So if you are looking back, the first such instance of disruption actually took place in Kerala itself. There was actually the installments or imposition of president rules via Article 365, because of which the existing state government has to be dismissed. This was not the only case of scenarios where there was disruptions, but if you are looking back, there was disruptions in simultaneous term of state assemblies of many other states as well. There was problems of defection. The presiding officer, the president's rules was imposed in many of the states. Then there was premature end of different assemblies of different states. Then coalition government was made in the center, and even sometimes in the state you can find the regional parties coming together to form a coalition government, and because of the lack of understanding and lack of support, the government falls. So these are some of the reasons by which the synchronous of or the simultaneous election of both the Lok Sabha and the legislative assemblies was actually come to a standstill, and now you can see that there is actually difference in the Lok Sabha elections as well as the state assembly elections of different states as well. You can find elections throughout the year in different parts of India and different states. So this policy of one nation, one election has been there in the mind of the Election Commission of India and even of different national governments that actually come in. In 1983, the Election Commission of India actually suggested the simultaneous election. Like in 1990s also, the government which was present actually wanted to implement this simultaneous election. In 2014, when the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi was elected, he also since then has been trying to introduce this simultaneous elections in India. Even in BJP manifesto in 2014 election, they have actually said that they want to implement this simultaneous elections both in the state as well as the center. So looking into all this, a parliamentary committee was actually created to examine the issues of simultaneous election. What will be the advantage, what will be the disadvantage, what is the opinion of the stakeholders like Election Commission of India, Law Minister and other regional parties, the political parties, national, state and regional parties, what is the opinion of all these groups. Now matter is actually referred to the Law Commission so that they can actually further examine and work out actually a roadmap through which they can actually implement simultaneous elections. So you see, this is not a new concept. The one nation, one election has been going on. It was in existence till the 1960s, but then afterwards there were disruptions, a lot of disruptions caused due to defection, president's rule, coalition governments, and also premature end of assemblies and dissolution prorogations, and because of all this there was actually an end. Now let us actually look to some of the advantages by actually implementing the scheme, the one nation, one election. So if you are looking overall, we see elections all throughout the year. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of money and resources away from the government, which means that it actually brings down the overall expenditure. India is constantly in election mode. If you are seeing that if there is election Lok Sabha now and after 2 months there will be election in other states. Recently Karnataka elections was over. Now there is upcoming elections in other states in like 2 to 3 months. So India is actually constantly in an election mode, and this actually tires the population, tires the central. There is a lot of shift of resources to this particular election that actually happens throughout the year. The limited election to a single season. So if you are conducting the simultaneous, like within a few months the entire election within the state and the center will be completed, and there won't be any further elections as well. So it will be, everything will be completed within a single season. The moral code of conduct. So when you see in the case of election, before the election there will be a moral code of conduct that will be actually implemented. In this period of moral code of conduct, the government cannot actually introduce any new policies. So because of which it actually hampers the administration in a particular region. So you see, there is election happening throughout the year. So in various and different parts of India, the moral code of conduct is being implemented. So when this MCC is actually being implemented, it hinders the government of their actually, it hampers the development process of certain area, because the government is actually not able to implement any of the policies. If the government implement policies too, it is actually looked into as a populist initiative, that the government is trying to get the votes. Like if you are seeing in newspaper, we see a lot of freebies, or how the government is giving away resources and such, because so they can actually get the voters bank. So it would be actually more seen as a populist initiative and not actually helping in the development process of that particular region. It hampers the overall administration of that region as well. It actually turns out the boost voters turnout. So you see, there is election happening all around the year. The people will be tired out actually. If it's happening in a particular season, the cumulative number of voters who is actually coming into vote will be more higher than happening all around the seasons. So because of which it will actually increase the water turnout, and it will reduce the voters fatigue. Now it helps save time and money. As I have told you, it will be accumulated into one season, means that the resources will be properly utilized and there will be time management as well. The government could get 5 stable years to focus on the governance instead of winning votes. So you see here, when elections happen throughout the year, the bureaucrats, the public administration, everybody is put behind with the election. Now they have to go to the election center, they have to accumulate the polls and such. All the security staff is involved in this, which like this election hampers a lot of bodies, not just the governments. So if this actually restricted to 1 year, like one season, then it will actually help the government focus on the governance instead of winning the polls. So these are some of the advantages you can actually bring into your answers. So you see, this one nation, one election is very important because it's a very debatable topic. There is both advantages and disadvantages to this very particular debate question alone. So you can actually expect such questions in your mains as well. So if it's discussed, you need to bring the advantage, disadvantages, criteria, exam, and you have to actually look into that too. At the end of this video, we will see a question related to this as well. Now, if you are looking at the disadvantage, for all the advantages I have told you, there is a lot of disadvantages for it to go it along too. So you can see, India is a populous nation. We have over 1.4 billion crores of 1.4 billion population, and majority of population is above the age of 18 years. So you see, all this brought under one certain date, one certain season, means that it is going to actually hamper the government itself. It's going to be very complex, and the Election Commission of India won't be able to actually conduct these elections properly because of this huge population we have. Population and the large electorate. ECI doesn't have the required logistics or capacity to handle the election process simultaneously with this huge population in India. And the requirement of twice much as electronic voting machines and voter verifiable paper audits. So you see, if a election is happening in a particular area, the EVMs and the voter verified process is actually transported in that area. We only have a limited amount of EVMs available right now. So when there is actually elections happening in a particular area, this EVM is transported here at that area. In the next place, it will be transported again. So certain number of EVMs are actually transported throughout the India. But if the simultaneously election is happening, then we need EVMs and such in every parts, in every district, in every locality, in every school, which is actually going to create lot of burden over the government. Then need to utilize security force. So to actually look out all of this, all the areas where the electoral polling is taking place, you need that much adequate of security. You need security to transport the EVMs and other such, because of which the number of security forces that is available to the amount of population, that is not actually in a balanced out. Is not balanced out. So because of it, there is more strain in the security provisions as well. Now, what benefit? The national party. So if you are seeing, if the election, the state election and the national elections are coming together, if a party, the main national party has more power and more money, they can actually they can actually portray their national interest and subjects from the union list rather than from the state list. So if you are voting for a party in your locality, in your region, in your state, we will be looking into our state interest as well. In areas where we are lacking, in areas where we want resources and such, the regional parties and state parties will be focusing on it. But if everything is happening together, the national party can overtake this and they could actually implement or tell us about the safety of the nation, and that's such they will be actually portraying more subjects from their union list rather than from the state list, because of which the regional parties may lose their vote, or the regional parties won't have a chance against these national parties, and ultimately the national party wins and the regional party will lose. Also required constitutional amendments of 5 articles. Now this implementing this one nation one election process is not a simple task. You need constitutional amendment actually of about 5 articles. We will deal this 5 articles in the coming slide. Can be also put to sync only by ending or prorogating the existing state assembly. So you see, as Karnataka, it's just new. So they have actually good 4.5 years of terms left. Now many new assemblies, many new state assemblies are going to have their elections as well. So if you need to bring everything in sync, you have to actually dissolve or dissolve some of the existing state assemblies. Some may be new, some may be going to end. So because of which bringing this in is actually a huge task on itself. So if brought it also, there might be in the future, there can be present rule happening again, some dissolutions happening again, because of which the simultaneous elections in the future might not be even a reality, even if it's brought in. Same cases what happened in the 1960s may happen in the future as well. So we are looking into the 5 articles that we need to amend. So here we have Article 83 relating to the duration of the House of the Parliament. Then Article 85, which is actually relating to the dissolution of the Lok Sabha by the President. Article 172, which is relating to the duration of the state legislature. Article 174 relating to the dissolution of state legislatures, and Article 356 imposition of President's rule. So all these 5 articles which you are seeing, 83, we have 83, 85, 172, 174 and Article 365. These 5 articles would have to be amended so that you can actually bring in this one election, one nation into the schemes. Now moving on, we have the next article. 3/4 of India's irrigation runs on electricity. So if you are looking, the pumping of the groundwater, you need a lot of electricity, because we are not just taking the shallow alone and there is groundwater depletion going on. So because of which the farmers and the agriculturists, they have to actually dig deep into the earth through irrigation methods and such, so they can extract more water. The deeper we go, the more we need the electricity, so that we can actually generate that much of groundwater. So recently the 6th edition of minor irrigation schemes has been actually given out. Now this was actually conducted by the Jal Shakti Ministry, and they found out that electricity is the dominant source of power in the power to extract water. As I have told you, to extract more water from the depth, you need actually more electricity. So they found out that electricity is the dominant source of power to extract water. So this is actually not a new data, this is older data. This data is shown in 2017. There is actually a delay in collection of all the data from the regional level, so because of which the 2017 data is only publishing now in 2023, even after 6 years. So they have found that the use of electricity there was a jump from about 56% to 70% in 2017, and now 2023 the jump in the use of electricity would have increased further again. So if you are looking, there has been a lot of different types of actually groundwater extraction actually present. So if you are looking, we have dug wells or ponds. This was actually prominent as the oldest method of actually water extraction. Now this actually extracts water till a depth of 15 meters only, and now its use has been very reduced, and only reduced from about 87 lakh people used to depend upon this, and now it reduced to about 82 lakh. Now this data is of 2017, is not of 2023, so remember that. Shallow tube wells, which goes to a depth of about 35 meters, the use of the shallow tube wells has also reduced, declined from about 59 lakh to about 55 lakh users. Then we have the medium size and the deep well size. Now these both usage has actually increased. The medium size goes to a depth of 70 meters and the deep wells goes to depth greater than 70 meters. Now both this usage has been actually increased because there is a depletion of the groundwater resources in the shallow and the dug wells of the ponds, because of which the farmers has to actually go deeper into the earth to get actually the groundwater resources. So they are actually going in medium size, so 70 meters and greater than 70 meters to get actually the water that they require. So there is a rise in tube wells and bore wells and such, so they can actually extract more water. To go deeper, you need more electricity and more power, and this will also cause more environmental disaster. So if you are going in deeper to get the groundwater, there will be toxins like arsenic and heavy metals are actually present in this groundwater as well. So this is actually environmentally degradable. This is taking a lot of electricity. There is taking a toll on the environment. Excessive groundwater extraction, depletion of the groundwater table. This is leading to the depletion of groundwater table as well. Now all this is actually indicating the water stress, and the agricultural structure is constrained by limited water supply. So this is what is happening. There is depletion of groundwater and the farmers needing more water, they are actually digging deeper, and this digging deeper going more than 70 meters, they need more electricity. So minor irrigation schemes. So the groundwater situation varies from state to state. Some state will be using a lot of groundwater, like in the northern state we have Punjab, Uttar Pradesh and such, which are using a lot of irrigation and groundwaters. The incentives or loans to buy this also varies within each state. Now totally if you are looking about 23.14 million minor irrigation schemes have been rolled out. The governments are giving incentives and loans so that they could actually generate more electricity. They could actually they could generate more groundwaters. So if you are looking in the 6th edition, there has been a lower growth in the electrification, which actually means that we have been using like electricity. Now they are actually shifting into more energy efficient kind of electrification, like they are using more solar pumps or wind turbines and such to generate electricity and then pump water, which is actually more sustainable than the other forms of electricity we were actually using. So it shows that compared to the 4th and 5th edition, there is actually lower growth in electrification compared to the other edition. Now this reliance, there have been reduced reliance on the grid electricity for pumping water, and they have actually increased their dependency over energy efficient water extractions like solar pumps, wind turbines as such. Now I told you 23.14 million minor irrigation schemes has been rolled out. The UP has the largest share with about 17.2%, followed by Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So you see here UP, Uttar Pradesh has the largest amount of minor irrigation schemes that has been rolled out to help and incentivize the farmers to get groundwater. In out of all this 23.14, about 21.93 million schemes has been for groundwater extraction. 21.9, at most like 95% of this minor irrigation schemes has been rolled out for the extraction of groundwater, whereas only 1.21 million, which is actually close to 5%, has been utilized for the extraction of surface water. So 95% of scheme focus on the groundwater extraction and only a 5% in the surface water extraction, which actually talks that we are overly dependent upon the groundwater resources in India. So if you are looking, this is the graph you can see here. You can see Uttar Pradesh here with about 17.2%, followed by Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Telangana. According to this, UP has 17.2%. They are the largest utilizers of this minor irrigation schemes for groundwater related and surface water related. For groundwater related, majority, this is the graph showing this groundwater related. So if you are looking surface water related, only 5% has been rolled out for surface water, but majority of states like including Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, Odisha and Jharkhand. So that is the schemes that has been rolled out for surface water schemes, and for groundwater 95%, you see here, groundwater 95%, surface water 5%, and out of this 5%, so mainly is taken by states like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Jharkhand, Odisha and Telangana. So if you are looking in the recent years between 5th and 6th editions of this minor irrigation reports coming out, the number of minor irrigation schemes has actually increased by about 1.42 million, which means that the number of schemes which are rolled out for this help are increasing day by day. Most of the schemes, about 96.6%, were utilized by the privately owned or small and marginal farmers that who are actually depend upon these kind of schemes so they can extract groundwater. So that is what this entire article is talking about. Moving on, we have AI on X-ray to detect TB cases. So you see, TB has been in news recently because in every Sunday's article you can see about any such discussion or articles relating to the tuberculosis. So the WHO plan is global plan is to eliminate tuberculosis by 2030. But India is our plan. We are keeping it 5 years ago before. So India is targeting to eliminate TB by 2025. In order to eliminate TB, there is an increased need for actually the government has to take some kind of initiatives and developments so that they can actually reduce this TB. So in a new kind of report, they have stated that artificial intelligence assisted X-rays can actually detect tuberculosis. So these are actually chest X-rays with the help of artificial intelligence. They can actually help us in getting more accuracy, about 90% sensitivity and 70% specificity in a people who are greater than 15 years of age. There is a high chance that we can actually detect it. So as per the National TB Prevalence Survey, nearly 43% of the TB cases would have been missed without a chest X-ray. So that is how relevant the chest X-ray is important, so that with this and inclusion of artificial intelligence, we can actually effectively find out more cases. So because of which we can actually deal with this tuberculosis. So in this article, these are the main key points which you need to know. Okay, so there has been, I have kept out a lot of TB, so you need to what to do is prepare a paper, write a 2 paper on tuberculosis, what are initiatives I have actually taken before also. So in that you need to actually add these kinds of points so that you can actually in the final means writing you can actually have 2 papers relating to tuberculosis disease alone, because this has been coming in the Sunday's article for over past 1 month. So it becomes very important for you in your mains as well. Atlantification. So this is not a key terminology which you actually hear. You can actually get this one in GS1 geography or in the prelims basis as well. So the warm waters from the Atlantic Ocean have been diverted into the Arctic Ocean in the recent years. So you see, Arctic area is very cold. So there will be actually cold currents in the top. But there has been a recent intrusion of the warm water currents from the Atlantic to the Arctic area, because of which there has been more melting of ice in the Arctic region. Now this actually, whatever the warm waters actually entering the Atlantic from the Atlantic Ocean to the Arctic Ocean has actually caused a lot of disturbances in the ocean stratifications in the Arctic and caused heat fluxes that may actually help melt the Arctic ice as well. So the scientists are stating that they have actually found a hotspot where some of the part of the Barents Sea have started closely resemble the Arctic Atlantification. So in the Barents Sea area, we can actually see this kinds of warm water inflections in the cold water. So if you are looking in the colder area, like particularly in the warm water areas and the cold water areas, there is a difference. So this cold water actually always settle down, and the warm water, there is always a stratification in the sea layer. This will be warm and the cold water being dense will settle down. So the influsion of this warm water is going to affect the whole topology of that area as well. So the north flowing ocean currents transport the warm waters of the Atlantic into the Arctic Ocean through the Barents Sea. So you can see new hotspots are actually being created in the Barents Sea. So if you are looking in the Arctic Circle, you can see Barents Sea here. See, you can see the Barents Sea here, which is actually near to the Norway region. This entire Arctic Circle region, because of the inflection of warm water, the ices are actually melting due to, and this causes Atlantification. The part of the Arctic region near the Norways are actually warming as much as 7 times more than the rate of warming that is happening in the rest of the world. Because of the inflection of these warm waters, the melting of ice is actually 7 times more than the global or world average. In the northern Barents Sea, warming is about 2 to 2.5 times the average warming in the Arctic region and 5 to 7 times the warming in the rest of the world. So it's important that you know what this Atlantification is. This Atlantification is actually in the Arctic region, so you actually have to know what is happening about. Such intense warming has never been observed in the Arctic region before. So this is very important. The word Atlantification will be very important for your prelims as well. Moving on, we have Pragyan rover. So the news is that they are going to put a Pragyan rover into a sleeping mode till September 2022. So in this, which you need to know what is lunar day lunar night. Lunar day and lunar night. So if you are looking, Earth takes about, like Earth is actually rotating and it's also revolving around Sun. So Earth takes about 1 day is 24 hours in the case of Earth, and we take actually 24 hours to revolve around the Sun. Like to complete one complete rotation, it actually takes about 24 hours for Earth. So if we are looking, this is Earth, this is Moon, this is Sun. So if you are actually looking into this, the Moon actually moves in an elliptical orbit around the Earth. So as I have told you, because of tidal interlocking, because of which this is the near side of the Moon which we can actually see. This is the far side of the Moon which we cannot see from the Earth. So because of this tidal interlocations, the Moon, even though is actually revolving around its axis, because of the tidal interlocking and the gravitational waves, attraction is very huge. Even if it's actually rotating, this tidal interlocking actually puts back the Moon because of which we actually, even though the Sun is moving around, we can only see the near side of the Moon and we cannot see the far side of the Moon. So this Moon, to complete the entire rotation around the Earth, it takes about 29.5 days. So in this 29.5 days, they complete the entire rotation around the Earth. So in this 29.5 days, 14 days where the Moon actually gets any light, and the 14 days they don't get any light at all. It's completely dark in Moon. So Chandrayaan 3 actually landed in the Moon when it was lunar daytime, where in the 14 days they will actually get sunlight. Chandrayaan 3 actually landed during that time. And now today they are actually going to turn off the Pragyan rover into sleeping mode, because we are going to enter lunar night day, which means out of this 29.5 days, 14 days the Moon will get sunlight, and other 14 days it will be night, means there won't be any sunlight. So we are entering into this 14 lightless days. So in that day, the Pragyan rover will be sleeping, and in September 22 it will be starting again with another cycle of daytime. So we will be restarting the Pragyan rover again. So that was in the news article. Now moving on. So in this we need to remember what is tidal interlocking, gravitational waves attraction, and also gravitational force, and then this lunar days, lunar night cycle and such. Now moving on, we have Operation Gaja. Now this particular operation was carried out by the Forest Department of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. This was actually conducted in the Chittoor district near Tirupati, which is actually dense forest area, and there is a lot of population of elephants present in this areas. Now what happens is that the elephants in this area, elephant actually went into a must mode. This must is actually a periodic condition that actually takes place in the elephants. In the bull elephants, particularly male elephants, characterized by they will show aggressive behavior, and they are actually accompanied by a large rise of reproductive hormones. Now if the elephants are going in a pack, this kind of must elephant will be eliminated or removed from that particular group, because they are going to aggressive mode. When they actually grow into aggressive mode, they become very restless and they go into a rampage mode. They kill the people and also ruin crops and such. So this actually creates a situation of man-animal conflicts. Now Kumkis are actually trained elephants. They are trained by the mahouts and the forest departments, and with the help of the Kumkis, such kind of must elephants can actually be brought under control with the helps of the Kumkis, and they are later tranquilized, and these kind of must elephants are later tranquilized and they are actually brought into conservation center. So two key terms you need to know about Operation Gaja is actually related to that of elephant. It took place in a state in the forest department coordinated by Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Kumkis are actually trained elephants. Now moving on to our last topic, we have an important topic, that is community radios. By looking into this, you might feel like this is not a very important article, but if you are go back into the history and such, this community radios actually play a very key role. So in this they are talking particularly a community key radio for palliative care. Now because of people who are admitted in the palliative care, they feel like social anxiety or they are socially isolated, they feel depression in a lot of, so these kind of community radio stations has been helping the people, especially in this case palliative care patients, so that they can actually come out of their anxiety or their depression and such. So this community radios has been legalized only in 2022. Before that, this kind of community radios was illegal. Now these kind of community radios actually owned by NGOs, civil society. So they are actually used for social purposes, and these are actually developed for social and development purpose, and these are non-profit person like the NGOs and civil society. They carry out such kind of community radios. Now in 1995, Supreme Court stated that this community radio, like this, comes under the freedom of speech and expression under Article 19. So this has been kind of legalized, and then in 2002 a policy has been brought out by the governments making this community radios legal. Now first it was given only to the education sector. Only the education sectors like IITs and IIMs could actually develop community radios, and further it was actually expanded because of the Bangalore and Passapur declaration introduced by the stated by the civil societies and other NGOs. Policy has been again improved so that they could go beyond this education sector to health, to medicines, to even help the other rural communities to actually coordinate and issues, and even in the case of natural disasters, so that they could actually know the upcoming issues or such. It was expanded to agriculture, education, health, natural disaster, etc. Now presently in India we have about 150 such community radio stations that are actually present in India. So it's a very small article. Community radios is actually going to help a lot of people. You can mention this in your examples in social justice, how a community radio could actually help in the case of getting people the correct and informed knowledge. So that is it about this article. Now we have a practice question. Critically examine one nation, one election, like this for 10 marks. Please answer this question and we will discuss it in the next class. There is actually no need to discuss because I have already told you about all the advantages, disadvantages, what happens in the case of one nation, one election. So write a suitable intro, mention the advantages, disadvantages, mention popular conclusion. That would actually be sufficient for this answer. So that is it for today. Thank you and have a nice day, and we will be seeing again tomorrow. Thank you.